Hello, everyone. Welcome to another BDPA Tech and Career Talk. I am your National Tech and Career Talk leader, Devin Jenkins. I serve as although my titles are changing these days, but I work in IT at GE Healthcare, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Share the Vibes LLC, residing here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Glad to have you with us. We have people in the call with us live from various parts of the country, and people even further watching on YouTube right now. So thank you all for being with us today. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below, click the bell so you know when we post, and share this with someone who needs to hear this message. We definitely want to make sure everyone hears this. Tech is such a relevant, lucrative field that we want as many people as we can in, and we want to make sure we dispel all the myths around that for everyone who has an apprehension. So before we jump into today's conversation, I always like to give a little bit of background in case we have those who may not be as familiar with BDPA or the Tech and Career Talk platform. So BDPA, formerly known as Black Data Processing Associates, founded in 1975 as an organization focused on continuing to build the African American talent pipeline in the technology industry. We do that by focusing on developing computer skills and professional development skills, career navigation, preparation in middle and high school students, and also providing opportunities for collegiate level students and professionals continue developing their skills, furthering their networks with those in the field to advance their careers from the classroom to the boardroom. This is, you did hear me say 1975, so this is year 50. This is our golden anniversary, so we are super excited about everything that's going on this year as we close the door on one chapter and usher in our next chapter with these next 50 years. So make sure you go to conference.bdpa.org, register for our 50-year golden anniversary conference in Atlanta, Georgia, going down August 13th through the 16th. It is going to be a phenomenal experience. Now we have some amazing things lined up. We're going to take everyone out to the MIMS, Museum of Computer, and whatever else it's called. But I know they got Ataris in there and mainframes and new computers. So it's going to be an amazing experience. Speakers lined up from some of the top companies in the world, people who are doing amazing things in their different sectors. So you want to be there. And we have things for our youth as well, competitions, parties, everything. So it's going to be a great time. So make sure you're in the building August 13th through 16th at our 50-year BDPA National Conference and Career Fair. Are you looking for employment? That's a great place to find it. So make sure you come out BDPA, conference.bdpa.org. Also, these Tech and Career Talks. What is this thing, man? So every second and fourth Friday each month, we have various speakers come in for 1 hour and talk about different topics relevant to technology and career navigation. Whether you're a student trying to figure out what in the world does tech even mean, or you're a retired executive who's been through the ranks and knows this like the back of your hand, we try to give you something that will give you value. So like I say, share this with someone, tap in with us, stay connected to everything that we have going on. So that being said, we do have a very special guest with us today because every guest is special. So we are glad to have with us Dr. Rosemary Hodges. Dr. Hodges, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And thank you for inviting me. I'm excited about this.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you with us. We have some great things to talk about today. Dispelling myths about breaking into tech. This is very relevant just with the way the economy is shifting, the way technology continues to evolve, and the growing workforce of people coming out of school and everything else that's going on. So a lot of myths out there, a lot of misconceptions floating around. We're going to get to the bottom of all of them. It's Mythbusters today. I almost called it Mythbusters. So we're going to have some fun with this one. But before we jump in, I always like to break the ice. So for you, being an educator, you're the dean of student and teacher learning and all this other stuff that we didn't have when I was in school. So, but being an educator, just to break the ice, if you had no budget limits, no policy restrictions, nobody telling you what you can and can't do, you're not limited by anything. You had the opportunity to create an innovative course that all students had to complete before they could graduate high school. What
Yep.
would that course be and why?
So, see, that is a loaded question. So, let me tell you, that's the problem in education. There is not one course. So, if you gave me a budget, it would have to be a chameleon course. Because here's the thing about education, and when it comes to the um, the design of courses and that kind of thing, which is really what brought our school about. Everything changes on a dime all the time. And so if you told me that I had all the money in the world to design that one course that would change the world or change students the way they think, um, it would be obsolete a year from now.
Mm,
And so the problem is that that's the old conventional thinking, is that if we just have this one thing,
mhm,
if every kid knew how to do this, we would be okay.
mm.
So there is not one thing. There are changing things. And so I would tell you, I need that unlimited budget to perpetually change things every year, because that's the issue, is that we get that one thing, and then a year from now is it's something different, because AI was not the thing
Yeah.
years ago. So, and we know that AI will not be it 5 years from now. So I just want your money, because change things every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, because we need to be able to change on a dime. So it's not just one thing, there are lots of things. So
I
that's what I
love
would
it.
do.
I love it. I love it. Not the response I expected, but I like it. It's a very effective one. And the one that we need, because things are constantly evolving and constantly
They
changing.
are.
There's so much. I was joking with my wife about 2 nights ago. Hey, you realize it's been 2.5 matriculations since we left Miles? She's like, who asked you that? But it's true. So now Miles has a tech lab sponsored by
Yeah.
Apple and doing things with AI, and there's
Yes.
esports on campus. Gaming was almost frowned upon. I was in school as a distraction, and now it's a whole career path. So things are definitely evolving. So I love that thought process. That's a great perspective. This is what we need in education today. We have to evolve and stay relevant with the times. So thank you for
Yes.
that. So that's a great
So,
segue into continuing to kind of set the foundation of who you are. And I try to just ask people, tell us your story. What's your journey? I
okay.
try to get there a different way. So we had a conversation recently, and you were telling me about the Alabama School of Cyber Technology Engineering, where you are the
Certainly.
dean of student and teacher learning there in Alabama. Alabama has this state school model that I was not familiar with. I imagine many of our listeners are not either. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this state school model that Alabama has implemented? What is it all about? What makes it special? And then particularly, what is special about the Alabama School of Cyber Technology Engineering that sets that apart from all the other schools in the nation?
Absolutely. So first, I'm going to tell you about my background. I am not at the school. I am at the historic Holt Street, where Dr. King gave his speech for the Montgomery boycott. So I'm in Montgomery today and not in Huntsville. So I want to tell you all about that background first, um, and shout out to them. But I also, so for the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering, so I didn't want you to mistake the two backgrounds as to where the school is and where I am. Um, it was a dream. So we have in Huntsville the largest consortium ship of, when you talk about cyber and engineering, the largest research park. And so we have companies like Deloitte, RTX, which is otherwise known as Raytheon. We have the Redstone Arsenal there. So DEFCON is housed there. And so we have COSA, we have Trinium, so many companies there that we knew those companies knew that they had a deficit in the number of cyber and engineering, and so they needed to backfill the holes. It was just not enough people to fill those jobs, and so they started the collegiate level, and it was just not enough people going into that field. And so the spark was to design a school that would backfill those jobs. And so our school is a statewide school. So we take students from across the state. And the way it was designed is that there's a seat for one student, at least one student, qualifying student from every school system in the state of Alabama. So it is competitive. And so students do an application process. And here's the thing that is unique. You don't have to know cyber or engineering. You just have to have an interest in it. And so, because we know that there's a difference from kids that are coming from the Black Belt compared to kids that are, in North Alabama or kids coming from South Alabama. Our thing is to get kids in the school and teach them about cyber in engineering. And so Oakwood University housed us for our first 3 years as our school was being built in Research Park, and we have always thanked them for that. We opened during COVID. We were the only face-to-face school while everybody else was hunkering down during COVID. We started with 67 kids, 67 brave kids. We had them in pods and in little groups. And we are well over 370 kids. We take 100 kids each year. And the way our curriculum is built out is that they complete all of their coursework in years 1 through 3 and do an internship with one of these major corporations during their senior year. I am proud to say that 98% of our kids go to college, but also that during that senior year, the majority of those kids are signing contracts with our educational partners before they go to college. And so we have kids that are working during the summer with those agencies that they've done their internships with, and some of them are going off to college and then coming back to work for them, and some of them are working while they're going to college. These companies have bought in so well to these students that they are not only training them, they are making sure that they are pouring back into the state. We've got kids that headed off to Georgetown and to Harvard. A lot of them are staying home, going to Alabama and to Auburn, to Tuskegee and to Alabama A&M. And so we are just proud of the diversity of universities that they're going to and to the diversity of things that they are wanting to do with cyber and engineering.
That's phenomenal. I went to undergrad in Alabama. I'm from Georgia, but my wife grew up in Alabama. I can only imagine, what an opportunity like this would have done, for students during that time. So there's some amazing talent, students and professionals in Alabama and all over. So it's great to see this model, and I wonder if there'll be additional states adopting a similar model pretty soon, because it sounds phenomenal. So kudos to you all. I mean, what you're doing from 67 to 300 plus, I mean, in this time span is wild. So salute to you all. You're doing amazing work. I love to hear it. Love to
Yes,
hear it. Love to hear
yes.
it.
We're
So
very,
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And so, dealing with students is kind of the foundation, even of BDPA. When we talk about the work that we do, so let's take it back to your foundation a little bit. How did you get introduced to STEM? And additionally, what made you stick with it?
So originally, I this was not my thing, and so and I think that's what for a lot of kids is not STEM. It's not this. We all know that there are gatekeepers when it comes to STEM. And even when you are in elementary school, it's not popular for girls to be smart in math. It's not popular for students of color sometimes to just show what they can do. So I struggled in the beginning. I did not fall in love with math until I went to college, and I had a college roommate that was a math major. And she just poured it all into me, and all of a sudden I couldn't get enough of it. So it was one of those things that I can do this. And so sometimes it takes a person that will share their talent with you and fill that little hole that you didn't get back in your formative years, that makes all the difference. And so while my original thought with STEM was first I was international finance, and then I was like, I just so many things I wanted to do, and then I ended up in education, and math just became my way around everything. And so it was something that just made sense to me. Numbers just started making sense in every way. And so I also felt like I needed to share that gift with all the babies that look like me and that said they couldn't do it. And I needed to keep saying to them, I don't want to hear that again. I don't want to hear that you can't do this because you can do this. So it it just kind of just kept going. So everything that I did in my education, I my undergrad degree was in elementary ed with a focus in math. And then my master's was in education again, but was in computers. And then my EDS, and then it all just curriculum design within math and curriculum. And so it just kept perpetuating itself until when I went over to higher ed, kind of the same thing. So I fell in love with it, but I also understood the struggles of it, and it just I just needed to help find a way to help everybody else, especially the littles, understand that this is something that you can do, and don't listen to people who say that you can't do it. So,
No, that's powerful, and it's such an important message that people need to hear in the tech space because so many of us think we can't do it. We have
right.
all these preconceived notions about it, and we're gonna get into some of this here, here very shortly. So I'm glad to hear you say that. And that takes us into, BDPA is a tech organization, so STEM, they'll cover science, technology, engineering, math, which you can't really have one without any of the others. So we're going to focus in on that T for a little bit, and then thinking about technology. I want to just kind of ground everyone. So we have different definitions of what things mean. So in your own words, how do you define tech, and what does it mean to work in tech?
So, tech, I have discovered, especially working with at the school, um, it really is it's different. It's a number of things to different people. Um, One aspect of the school's design that I really appreciate, um, and that I've learned when it comes to tech is not just one thing. Kind of like that first answer when you said, if I could design one class, it's just not one. And so, even in designing the school, I appreciated the fact that the teachers are not just certified K-12 teachers. And so, our teachers came from industry, the majority of them. And so the engineers, our engineering is taught by engineers. So they came from Boeing, they came from Northrop Grumman, and decided, hey, I'd like to teach this. And so they are actual engineers. Our cyber are actual cyber SMEs. They're experts in the field. We have a cyber range. Our math is taught by um, K-12 experts in the field. And then when you have our sciences, we pull people from various areas like NASA for science, and from Hudson Alpha for science. And then for social science, the same thing. And so when you bring in experts along with the K-12 experts that were trained in the area, you get an explosion like that school. With me coming from higher ed and a couple of other people from higher ed, um, it brings it all together. So when you say tech, we also have welders. And so I didn't realize until I was in that school, the biggest argument is between a welder and an engineer. When an engineer designs something and hands it off to welders, and a welder will look at an engineer and say, that's not possible. And an engineer will say, no, all you have to do, and a welder will absolutely say, no. That cannot happen. And I see a master welder tell an engineer that cannot happen. And then weld it exactly the way the engineer designed it and have to literally show that engineer it can't happen. So when you say tech, it is a masterful skill of so many things coming together. But it's like everybody has a component, but everybody has to be respected. And that tech is so many different things, 'cause nobody would ever thought AI would have been tech. Nobody ever would have respected, welders until an engineer said, "Do it this way," and a welder says, okay, let me show you." Or is electrician comes in and just looks at things. Tech is a beautiful tapestry of so many different things that, it just brings so many pieces together. So tech is just not just something that people can just disregard. It is and has always been what we always needed. And people just thought, mm, I can't do that. Or that's for those other people to do.
I'm chuckling. So one about a month ago, we had Norman Fleming on, who's our keynote speaker for our awards gala this year. And he kept talking about how technology is a people thing. Like you don't have tech without the people. And you said a lot in that response, but the thing that resonated with me that we don't often think about when we think about technology is that there's a storytelling element to this. Nothing moves in tech if there's not a story there and you can communicate that story between these different parties. So you talked about the engineer and the welder. The engineer has the design mind, this creative mind. They have the vision. The welder has the hard skills to build this thing together. And those perspectives often clash. And yes,
Yes.
yesterday I was having a conversation with a product manager that does web development, and she's clashing with our UX designer. She's giving these recommendations. You're like, hey, I do UX. Like, what are you talking about? Nope, I got this. Been doing this 20 years. You just do what I tell you to do. So that clash is funny because it comes down to people and telling stories. So
Yes.
technology is really kind of the system or the ecosystem that's put in place to make sure these stories get told to make things move the way we need them to move. But that's a great
Exactly.
perspective, man. You give us some gems today. So so a lot of people have a desire
I'm
to get into
glad.
this tech field. And we were just talking about this a little bit. People want to work in tech, but they're just intimidated by their preconceived notions around what it means, what it's required to do this. Am I the right fit? We can get in our head a lot with this. So what would you say are the basic requirements or the skills that are needed to break into the tech field?
Interest. Just an interest. Now, if we can take a 14-year-old that has never had their own computer and say, you can do this, you can do it. And so tech doesn't necessarily, or, cyber or engineering doesn't necessarily follow a straight line. That's the thing. It doesn't follow a straight line. And so, what you really want to do is move in a direction of what is your interest. So, we've had students come in that were interested. They fell in love with coding, but they didn't see themselves coding the rest of their lives. So, we've had a student that went and majored in human resources, want to become a headhunter because they speak the language, know how to go out and get that. There's no straight line to it. So the thing is if you want to break into tech, the thing is what is your love? You don't necessarily have to be in tech proper. So I always say, we've got some that majored in law, but they're majoring in cyber law. They speak the language, they've had the foundation. It's the joy of it is what do you really want to do? What do you find? What's your where do you find your peace? My thing was education and making sure kids got exposed, that kind of thing. I didn't know as much about tech that I do now. I know all about tech. I'll go sit in a class, but my my gift is that I can thread the needle. I absolutely can. And every last one of those engineers and cybers will sit down. I am the one that can show them how to write the curriculum and write their course so that these kids can understand it. So the thing is what is your gift? You don't have to necessarily be an absolute a person that is coding or a person that is being an electrical engineer, that kind of thing. So the question is, what do you want to do with the gift that you naturally own? So it's that kind of thing. How do you
That's
thread that?
powerful.
How do
That is
you thread?
powerful. How do you thread the needle? Hope you're taking notes. How do you thread the needle? We got to clip that one. That's powerful, and it's kind of what's landed me where I'm at today in my role, kind of as an IT business partner in the organization. I have no interest in being anybody's coder. I'm not doing too
Right.
much with your databases, anything like that, but I can kind of tell that story between those parties that may not often talk to each other. I can help
Yeah.
do that because I can speak the language. I understand those moving pieces on both sides of the house. So I think that's a very powerful thing that you said there. And that kind of takes me into where I wanted to go next, just around kind of the best path to getting into tech. So, you work in education, you're saying like 80% of your students are going to college. Traditionally, at least, I came up in a time where, the path was you go to school, you go to college, get your degree, go get you a job, do your
Yep.
thing, live happily ever after. But there's a lot of chatter around, is that the best path now? There's a lot of certifications out there that you don't necessarily need college for. There's
Right.
degrees that you can still get. You can do trade school. There's a lot of different paths out there now. So from your perspective as an educator, what is the
Yes.
best path to break into tech?
So again, the best path, if you are cyber, the best path to me, it's all about the certs. So anybody that knows anything about cyber, it is not about the degrees that you hold. My colleagues out there in higher ed, don't kill me when this is out. It is, and you will eventually have to get, some degrees, but it's all about the certifications, and you can start working on those certifications on your own. So I would, Security Plus. Once you get that Security Plus and start rolling into, and these are things that you can take on your own, study on your own, take the test. When those certifications start rolling up on your resume, those are the things that companies are looking for. We have kids that graduate with that Security Plus and they run out with a couple of other certs. They don't go to college. They go to work. And so engineering is always going to be that still that proper line when you go. They want you to go to college. They have those things, but I will say that it's always the experience and certifications. And so I would just start at the very low level, IT, and just work my way in. But for cyber, it is absolutely certifications, certifications, certifications.
That's interesting. So it sounds like for cyber, there's a focus on certifications.
Yes.
You look at engineering, there's a focus on degrees. And
Yes.
there's other things where the focus might be on, hey, go find you a way to just get your hands dirty, and
Yeah.
build it up that way. So,
Yeah.
the recurring theme that I'm hearing from everything you're saying today is that, the path depends on what your interests are, or how you thread the needle. And then there's a path that gets you into that point within tech. It's not necessarily a
Yeah.
one size fits all situation here.
And that is true. And I will tell you, everybody always says, you need to network, you need to network, you need to network. That's still true today. It is still true today. So it is still true that pass your resumes out, pass your cards out. It is still true. Go to every little thing that you do, and just introduce yourself. Let people know what you're looking for. I can't tell you when I was looking for, when we get ready to hire, it really is all about. I ask people, I'm looking for so and so and so and so. Do you have any recommendations? That's still true today. Go to all the events that you can, pass it out. I know it seems like it's mundane, but it getting out to different events makes more sense than putting it on LinkedIn. I'm just going to tell you, it is more of the human experience and the human connection so people can see you, know who you are, that than it is to just put it into a system where the algorithms are, blocking you out. So that it makes a difference.
You can't replace people.
Nope,
Like you can't.
cannot replace people. You
No,
cannot
that's
replace.
powerful. That is powerful. Thinking about myths, and we've got into some of them. Know that this is not only certain people can get into tech. It's not true. The only way to get into tech is to go get a degree. It's not true. That it depends on what you're trying to do. So we got into some of these, but I just want to ask you plainly, what are some of the biggest misconceptions around working in tech?
That girls can't do it, that we can't do it. Um, I think um, I think the biggest myth is I think that's it because I mean we've set up a school where 35% is girls and they're kicking butt. And 40% are minorities. And so they're kicking butt. And so I think you have to still just go out and just show people, show what we are capable of, and um, just really do it. And so, not just, I guess I was raised in there's no such word as can't, that you, even when it's difficult, you still have to push through it. And I can't say that enough. Even when it's difficult, you have to push through it. And so I've been blessed enough to be surrounded by family and friends that even when you think you can't get this done, somebody's dragging you through no matter what. So you need to, make your circle where they are dragging you through no matter what. So I guess the myth is that when people say that you're not capable or but to understand that there is absolutely some places where they like to put up those blockers. You just need to know how to go around them, and if you don't know how to go around them, call me. I will tell you how. I am one of those people that will absolutely steer people in the right direction. So find out, who your people are.
We need that, and which goes back to what you were just saying about community. I think one of the biggest misconceptions around tech is that it's just nerdy. That you have to be a nerd. I think people picture Steve Urkel in a dark computer lab just coding all day when they hear tech, and that
What's the
couldn't be
other
like
half? But what's the other half of him? Stefan. You got to put him
Stefan.
in it.
Yeah, Stefan too. For those who, because people born in 2001 are like 24 this year. So for those who aren't familiar with Steve Urkel, go back and watch Family Matters. But nonetheless, that I wanted to ask you, when we think about tech, my personal experience that techies like to have a good time. You come to BDPA Con in August, you're gonna have a great time. If you don't, it's on you, not BDPA, because we love to, we work hard, so we play harder. So I think techies in particular love having a great time and know ways to do it that others may not. So community is essential, I think, in anything we do. So what recommendations do you have for those who are trying to get into tech or those who are in tech that want to keep expanding their networks, to build a network and connect with people who are in this field, to keep expanding that network?
Keep going to events like what you all give. So um, you have to keep those connections going and just cast that net wide and go to places that you would not normally go. If you keep going to the same places, you're going to yield the same thing. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to step out your comfort zone sometime and go and mingle with people you would not normally mingle with if you want to yield a different thing. So sometimes you have to step out and do, other things, go other places, be the only one that stands out in the crowd. That when you walk in the room and say, oh, who is this new person? Yeah.
There it is.
I am
Um,
known to be to go into a room and people not know who I am. So
yeah, and that's something one of my first managers, working in GE Healthcare. One of the first things she told me was, "Hey, you're doing great work here this summer." I was an intern. So yep, doing great work this summer, and great things from your manager, but no one knows who you are. So you got to get out here and you got to talk to people, which I thought I was doing, but maybe not. So after that, she challenged me. Even after I got back to school, like every month, I want an email from you about a way you push yourself outside of your comfort zone this month. And because of that, that pushed me to actually run for a position on our general board of directors in Alpha, and I won. I never would have done it beforehand. I was like, hey, I'm in here, I'm doing the thing in the background, I'm cool. But that advice pushed me, to do something like that, and now it kind of comes naturally. So I appreciate that, and it's valuable advice because when you think about personal branding and that pie model,
yes.
performance is 10%, of your overall brand. It comes to image, that's about 30%, then exposure is at 60. And that comes to getting community, going to places we wouldn't normally go and really expanding and letting people know what we do. So I appreciate you for sharing that. And when we think about BDPA, this organization, we're 50 years in, we got another 250 to go. How can we effectively help dispel some of these tech myths for both students and professionals in our community?
I think doing the same thing, volunteerism, getting into the community, getting into spaces that you have not been seen. I would make a list of spaces where you've been and make a list of spaces you have not been. And then ask yourselves, why haven't we been there? Is it because we haven't been invited? Or is it because we decided that we're not going there yet? So I I would just find out where you haven't been and then make it intentional of being there.
There it is. Well, I want to take the time to open up the floor to some questions from the audience. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we can address them. If you want to come off mute, that's fine too. But we do have a question in the chat right now. What role does mentorship play in the success of newbies?
I think that is one of the biggest roles. I have mentored for so long, and I was mentored. Um, that is to be able to give back to people, to take someone by the hand and show them the yellow brick road, or to help them pick themselves up after they have tripped and fallen is so important. And so I would not have been in a position that I am in if I have not had the mentors and still have mentors. I have mentors that are university presidents and people that have just walked the road, that I still call today sometime when I get overwhelmed, sometime when I am overthinking, and then I get a chance to pass gems down to the people that I mentor. Um, and so you're not doing your due diligence if you don't mentor. So, and sometimes I end up with people that I'm mentoring because they said, "You're gonna be my mentor." I was like, "Oh, okay." So, and that's and yes, Jason Bradshaw. Oh, sometimes I look up and people are just showing up at my door. So, yeah, I
Love
end
it.
up inheriting people that just show up. So.
We love it. We love it. We have a question from Samuel on the line. Samuel, you can come off mute and ask your question. You have the floor.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your sharing. I wanted to ask for those of us who are working with the young people like yourselves, what are some of the things that you would say you found are the biggest obstacles that they're facing in terms of decisions that they have to make? They're looking at opportunities and what's being presented to them. What are some of the barriers that they're up against, and what are the ways that you suggest that we be prepared to help them navigate those barriers there. And I'm referring, I know earlier you shared about the whole idea of I can't do this is one of the things that they have to watch out for. But I didn't know in the context of today's society with so much around us and the news and all the things that are affecting young people, drugs and all that. What have you seen have been the I guess the top several things that they have to be most careful about in navigating?
So I think, well, drugs is always going to be at the top of and peer pressure. And so I think the biggest thing that you can do and that we constantly do is called positive peer pressure. And so positive peer pressure is that which where your friends are, because they don't care about what we think. They never care about what we think as adults,
Yeah.
but they don't want to let their boys down. They don't want to let their girls down. And so if you can get them in a situation where they are going to disappoint their peers, it will be their peers that hold them accountable. So you have to use positive peer pressure where their actions will um, adversely affect the peer group. So it will be the peer group that will hold them accountable.
Okay. It's
That's
important.
how you have to handle that because they are not moved by us saying you will get in trouble. They're
Yeah.
okay with that. What they're
Yeah.
not okay with is disappointing their peers.
Okay. That peer guidance is the key
Yep.
thing.
Positive peer pressure.
All right. Well, I do appreciate that. And
Absolutely.
I look forward to following up with you a little bit later about some of the things that you're doing.
Yes, sir. Okay.
When we get the information of how to do that. But thank you
Okay.
for sharing.
Absolutely.
All right, we have John.
Hi there, from Chicago here. I wanted to see if you can talk a little bit about the idea that mentorship is unidirectional. Because, for example, personally, I try to mentor both up and down. So when I see my peers doing things, I try to both learn from them and offer what I learned. I do one thing like when I go to like a networking event. I always try to take one tip or trick that I've recently learned and share it with as many people as I can. May it be something as simple as an AI site that rewrites your resumes that's free, earn better, or ways and better to connect to people, or just share general information about calls like this. What do you think about that?
So I love it. And so I think people mentor in different ways. I am more of a one-to-one. And so my mentees come from so many different, I guess, backgrounds. And so I think I maybe have two that I mentor that are like in education, and then some that are in tech or in cyber. And then I have some that don't have education at all. And so it just depends on what their needs are. And so if if I am mentoring like a group of individuals that are in the same area or field, that would be great. But also mentors have such a variety of people that are connected to them. It's different. So I think mentorship for me is so individualized that it would be hard for me to use that approach because everybody's needs are so different from the next person's. But I love that. I love that idea.
Thank you for that question, John. I hope that answered it for you.
It was great feedback. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the audience today? Or you can come off mute or you can drop them in the chat. Just make sure nobody's struggling to get off mute before we close it out. All right, so to wrap us up, I wanted to, just give you an opportunity to kind of put a bow on all of this. So, some people listening today, that may be watching on YouTube or that are here with us live today, are very likely trying to figure out, how do I even get into the tech space? Others, like Mr. Samuel, who spoke earlier, are working with young people and professionals, mentoring people, to usher in as many people as we can get into this space. So some people are on different sides of the fence. But for everything you shared today, what are the key takeaways you want everyone to leave this conversation with?
So I think the overarching is find out what your love is. And if tech is something that you're interested in, so I am education with tech adjacent. And so if find out who you are and what you love first, and then pour in that tech piece into it. So don't try to, and I find a lot of times that people are trying to do tech because it pays money. It pays so much money. But you can get into tech and hate it, but you want it because it pays so much money. Make tech fit you. And I think that's would be the overarching is make tech fit you. Find out what you love and then pour the tech into it. And so that you are doing both. And then that way you are not trying to fit that square peg into a round hole because it's going to come together. And if it's the money you want in the end, it's going to come because it still has tech on it. So, and if it's who you are, it will all come together. That I can promise you.
Dr. Hodges, I thank you for sharing with us today. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Salute to you on the work you're doing at the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering. Hopefully we can get more students exposed to that through this talk and others. I'm sure this won't be the last time BDPA hears from you or you hear from us. And I think, my biggest thing today when we talk about dispelling myths about breaking into tech, forget about everything you think it takes to get into it. Really hone in on what your interests are, what your passions are, and how you want to thread the needle. That was that one liner for me today. So thank you for sharing that. This brings to mind, your gifts will make room for you. I think that's my takeaway out of this. If you want to get into tech, your gifts will make room for that to happen. So thank
Absolutely.
you for sharing with us. Again, if
Thank you
you're
for
watching on
having me.
YouTube, absolutely, yeah, we're family now.
Yes.
So thank you for coming through. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below, share this with someone who needs to hear this message, because you know it was a good one and you know somebody who needs to hear it. So spread the love, share the wealth. Make sure you go to conference.bdpa.org and register for BDPA Con 25. Our 50-year anniversary conference is going to be an amazing one. It's going up, and we can't wait to see you there. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.